Cool, guys. So we got question 4 here. The graphs of f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus 15 over 2 and gx equals x squared plus 2x are sketched below. A and b are the x-intercepts of the graph f. D is p and 8. Those are the coordinates, is the turning point of graph f, and c is the x-intercept of graph g. Graph g passes through the origin. E is the turning point of graph g. Okay, so they've plotted some stuff there. So question 4.1, it says write down the coordinates of point f for 1 mark, which means we should just be able to get our information up here. So f of x equals ax squared plus bx plus 15 over 2. This 15 over 2 is the y-intercept over here. So we have the 0 coordinate and we have 15 over 2 is the y-intercept. So the coordinates of f are that 0 and 15 over 2. So from there, it's telling us determine the coordinates of C. So C is one of the x-intercepts of the graph of the turning point E, and that is our G graph over here. So in order to get an x-intercept, what we do is we make y equals 0. So x squared plus 2x, make that equal 0. And then what we have to do is we have to factorize this. So we're going to take an x out, and then we have x plus 2 here. This equals 0. Therefore, x equals 0 or x equals -2. And that means the coordinates of C is -2 and 0. So at this stage, they're saying the turning points of graphs f and g lie on the same vertical line, DE. So there's no tilt, there's no change in the x value, which means they have the exact same x coordinate. So once we've calculated the x here, it means it is the same x coordinate as this guy. So it is saying determine 4.3.1 the value of p. So the value of p, which means we just need to get this x value here in order to get that x value over there. So on this graph here now, we can do x equals -b over 2a, if that is your preferred method. So this is our a value, the one over here. This +2 is our b value, and then c is 0, because there's no c value, because it's intercepting with the origin. There's no shift in the y-intercept. So -b over 2a, our positive or negative +2 over 2 times 1. We have -2 over +2 equals -1. So our coordinate here is -1, and we don't know yet. It's a question mark. This guy we do know, it is -2 and 0, and this guy is 0 and 0. And the fact that this is -1, this is on the same plane, meaning that p over here is also -1. So with that, we just need the length of DE. So if it's on the same plane, we just need to plug in the -1 here into our equation, g of x, so that we can then get the y distance, and then we're just going to count in terms of units how far it is from E all the way up to D. So -1 was the E value. So if we plug that into our g of x formula, we have g of x is brackets -1 squared plus 2 times -1. So then that becomes 1 plus -2 equals -1. And this guy ends up being -1, -1. So the length of DE from -1 to +8 is 9 units up. And therefore, length of DE equals 9 units. So now it's saying 4.4, show that A equals -1/2, okay? And b equals -1. So we're in this f of x graph where we don't have the a value, we don't have the b value, but we do have a turning point now, which makes it a lot easier for us, because a turning point is a different format, which we can substitute some stuff in. So what we need to do, now that we have the turning point, is we need to manipulate f of x and turn it into the turning point formula. This is an easier way for us to isolate and get a first, and then we can FOIL that all out, and then we can solve for b. So what we have is f of x equals a, what we want. Then we have x. We know that our p is -1, which means in our turning point formula, it's going to be a +1 over here inside our bracket, because that is how we're shifting. As we shift to the left, we make it positive. And as we shift to the right, we make it negative. And then our actual q value is 8 over here. So a reminder that in the turning point formula, this guy is p, this guy is q, and that is the same as our turning point here, p and q. So now that we have this, we just need one other point on the graph, which we do have because we have the C over here, the 0 and 15 over 2. So at this stage, we are going to plug in the 15 over 2 in our y coordinates. A is what we're trying to solve. which means we have the x value. The x value here is 0 because that was the 0 for our y-intercept. That was the x value. And then we have this squared plus 8. So we can go ahead and solve for it. So 15 over 2 plus 8. We take the 8 over. Minus 8 is minus 1 over 2. A is here. And then this guy just becomes 1 squared. Okay. 1 squared is just 1, which means a equals minus a half. And that is what we wanted for a. A equals negative a half. At this stage, we can plug this a back into this formula, and then we can put in another point in order to get our b value. But an easier way is to do this. So now that we know a, we are trying to get b. F of x equals minus a half x plus 1 squared plus 8. So we just need to expand our bracket. X squared plus 2x plus 1 plus 8, and then distribute this negative a half into all of these terms. And then as we do that and simplify the remaining variables or values, we are going to end up with our b value being negative 1 and in our standard form like this. So we have minus 1 over 2x squared minus a half times positive 2 is minus 1x. That is good for us. We have just solved for b. Minus a half times 1 over here is minus a half. And then we are distributing the negative half to the positive 8. So the positive 8 will stay out here and we will just simplify it. And then at this stage, we have minus a half x squared. A reminder that this is our a value. Minus 1x. A reminder that this is our b value. And then minus a half plus 8 is positive 7.5. And that is our c value. And that is what we had up here. 15 over 2 is 7.5. And that is our y-intercept in our quadratic equation formula, where it's in quadratic form, not the turning point formula. So we showed that a is negative half, b equals negative 1. Cool. So at this stage, if we weren't able to solve for 4.4, that a equals negative a half and b equals negative 1, we would just take those values and sub them into this f of x graph in order to help us with 4.5. So I will just rewrite down the equations here. We have g of x equals x squared plus 2x. And then we have our f of x, which we solved for. But if we couldn't, we just plug in our values. Minus a half x squared minus 1x plus 7.5. So what they want from us for 4.5 is determine the equation of a straight line joining the points of intersection of graphs f and g. Points of intersection is over here and over here. So we want a straight line kind of going through this thing. And we need to round off our answers to 2 decimal places. So that means 5 marks is some sort of simultaneous equation or making these two things equal each other, because we are going to have some sort of quadratic going on here when we make these 2 points equal. The reason we make them equal is because those are the only 2 points in time where these 2 graphs touch each other, which means that the y's equal each other, and then we can solve for it from there. So x squared plus 2x equals minus half x squared minus 1x plus 7 over 5. So we're going to take everything to one side so we can simplify it. Take your negative a half x squared to this side. So we have 1.5x squared plus 2x minus x, take that over, we have plus 3x, and then this positive 7.5, we take that over, it becomes negative 7.5. Okay, so that all equals 0. At this stage, these are all divisible by 1.5. So x squared, what we're left with is a 2x here, and then minus 5 over here equals 0. Okay, so at this stage, we're doing a quadratic equation. We have x that equals 0. The factors of 5 are 1 and 5. And can that give us a 2? So this is saying round off our answer to 2 decimal places, meaning that we're going to have to use our quadratic equation. So I'm going to do that now. So x equals 1.45 is the one value. The other value, x equals minus 3.45. So we have the 2 x coordinates now. In order to determine the equation of the straight line, we are going to have to get the y values. So we're going to have to sub both these x values in so we can then get the gradient. So it'll be easier to just plug it into our g of x graph, considering these x's live on both graphs. So over here, we have 1.45 squared plus 2 times 1.45 and minus 3.45 squared plus 2 times minus 3.45. So I'm just going to solve for those 2 y values now. So we have our 2 coordinate pairs for this intercept and that intercept. This answer rounded to 2 decimal places goes to 5,00, and This y value also goes to 5, 0, 0, which means this is a horizontal line, which means there isn't a gradient. There's no gradient formula. So we don't have to get the gradient here because the y's are the exact same. So that means the equation of a straight line joining the points of graphs f and g, the answer is y equals 5, 0, 0, 2 decimal places. And this will be a perfectly horizontal line running there with no tilt. So it's not going to change, and the y-intercept does not change because it has a gradient of 0. Great job, guys. Let me know if there are any questions in the comments below, and then I will see you in the next video.